KM7G. Keland, are you on frequency?
Yes, this is KM7G, ready to go.
Thanks, Keland. Please continue with this evening's training.
Thanks, Holly. As you can see, if you're looking at the slides, the training tonight will be on the Spring ERC Exercise coming up on June 14th. I want to thank Kevin Hemsley and F7J for the preparation of this presentation. Let's go ahead and go to slide 2. Okay, the schedule for this exercise coming up on Saturday, June 14th at 7 a.m. Pre-exercise radio traffic on 146.88 megahertz repeater. Then at 8 o'clock, the exercise actually begins on the repeater, 88 repeater, and we are all to follow the instructions given by the net control station. At 12 noon, the exercise will end. There will be no lessons learned meetings afterwards. This time, instead, we will provide a link to the evaluation form to get everyone's feedback, and details will be on the ERC website. Let's go to slide 3. In emergency communications, there are often dedicated radio nets dedicated to specific functions such as sandbagging efforts or coordination of evacuation efforts in a certain area. For the Spring ERC exercise, we will divide into ward nets. There will be stake nets to coordinate with each of the wards in each stake, and there will be a region net to coordinate between all the stakes in each region. And there will be a storehouse net that coordinates between each of the 4 regions in our area. Emergency communicators in each ward will communicate with each other on the ward net, on a ward radio net. Representatives from each ward will communicate with other wards in each stake through a stake net. Then representatives from each stake will communicate with other stakes in each region through a region net. Regional net control teams will communicate with the other regions in our area through a special storehouse net. Let's go to slide 4. In every emergency, people have needs, and hopefully someone has the resources to offer the person in need. As emergency communicators, we may be called upon to help find resources to meet someone else's needs. The spring exercise on June 14th will give us the opportunities to use our emergency communication tools and skills to find resources that match needs. Let's go to slide 5. During the exercise, we will be coordinating with each other to match up emergency communicators who are representing someone with specific needs with an operator who is representing someone who has a specific resource that matches that need. There is only one resource for each need. This means that you, as an operator with a need, will need to find the call sign of the operator who has the matching resource for your need. The matching resource for your need could be in your own ward, or it could be an operator in your stake, or it could be an operator somewhere in your same region, or it could be an operator located in a stake in another region in eastern Idaho. In addition to your 3 needs, you will be assigned 3 resources, and you will need to pay attention to announcements of needs. When you hear a need announced that matches one of your resources exactly, then you immediately notify your net control operator of your call sign and tell them which resource you have. Your net control operator will pass the information along to the next net in the hierarchy of nets. As soon as the operator that asks for the resource to match their need enters your call sign into the exercise app, bingo, we have a match, and the app for each operator will indicate the match on your score. And when it says app, it's pretty much just the website. Okay, let's go to slide 6. This is Kilo Mike 7 Golf for training tonight. Remember that there are multiple radio nets that operate in the hierarchy, that all information is to be systematically shared and coordinated. At the first level is your ward net. You announce each of your needs to all of the operators on your ward net to see if there are any matches within your own ward. Then, every other operator on your ward net announces their needs in turn as directed by the ward net control operator. As all of the other operators announce their needs, you need to listen carefully to see if you have a matching resource. After coordinating all needs and resources at the ward level, the ward net control operator passes any remaining needs up to the stake for coordination with the other ward nets in your stake. If the ward net control operator is able to find matching resources for any needs in your ward, this will be announced on your ward net. The process will continue all the way up the hierarchy from the wards to the stake, to the region, and to the storehouse. At each level, when matches are found, the information is coordinated and the call signs for each matching resource are passed down the chain until the requesting operator has identified the call sign for each of their needs. There will be a lot of radio traffic to coordinate all the needs and resources during the exercise. Needs will likely be announced multiple times in order to find matching resources. The reason for repeat requests is to ensure that everyone is aware of remaining needs that need to be met. The operator with the need is required to enter the call sign of the identified operator with the resource. As soon as the need operator enters the call sign of the resource operator into the app or on the web page, you have a match and you continue to help everyone else find resources that match needs. Everyone works together to communicate needs and resources. A key to making all this work are the net control operators. Net control teams have the extra challenge of participating in two radio nets at the same time. They coordinate radio traffic on their primary net frequency, and they interface and coordinate with the radio net next in the hierarchy. This means that ward and stake net control operators need to be on two different frequencies at the same time. It is important for everyone to understand how this happens. Let's take a closer look of how net control teams can operate on two frequencies at the same time. This is KM7G for training tonight. We'll go to slide 7. So how do net control operators communicate on two nets at the same time? There are basically two ways to participate on two nets at the same time. The first is to have two dedicated net control team operators. This is the preferred method where one operator serves as the net control operator for the primary net, such as the ward or stake net. The other operator serves as the liaison operator that coordinates with the next net up the chain. For example, from the ward to the stake and from the stake to the region. This is preferred because each operator can focus on listening to all radio traffic on the frequency that they are dedicated to monitoring. The second method is to have one net control operator and one liaison operator on the net that relays between both nets. Acting as a liaison operator is difficult to do because you can't copy radio traffic on two different nets at the same time. If you are a liaison operator, your primary focus should be on the secondary net so that all important information can be relayed back up to the primary net. If you get lucky and only one net has radio traffic at a time, then it is easy, but you can't count on that. In an exercise or busy emergency, there can easily be radio traffic on both frequencies at the same time, and important information can be missed. There is a third option where a single net control operator works both nets. This is discouraged because you can't be an effective net control operator and work another net at the same time. When you are the net control operator, your primary responsibility is managing the primary net. If a net control operator finds themselves in a situation where they need to participate in two different radio nets, recommendation is to find another operator as quickly as you can. In summary, the preferred method of communicating on two nets at the same time is to have two dedicated radio operators on the net control team, one for each radio net. This is KM7G for training tonight. Let's go to slide 8. Let's talk about the ward net control team. This slide shows how a typical net hierarchy might look like. Starting at the top far left, you see a ward net control team. The ward net is managed by the ward net control operator on the left, labeled with the yellow number 1. Sitting on the right of the ward net control operator is the stake net operator, labeled with the yellow number 2. These two seated at the ward net control table will work together to manage information coming in and leaving the ward. Okay, the stake net control team. Moving to the bottom left of the slide is the stake net control team. The operator on the left is the stake net control operator, labeled with the yellow number 3. To his right is a region net operator, labeled with the yellow number 4, who coordinates information between the stake and the other stakes in the region. Then we'll go to the region net control team. Now look at the center of the slide at the region net control team. The region net control operator, labeled with the yellow number 5, is on the left, coordinating communications between stakes in the region. To his left is the storehouse net control operator, labeled with the yellow number 6, who is coordinating information moving between regions on the storehouse net. Okay, let's talk about the storehouse net control team. Now look at the top right of the slide at the storehouse net control team. Seated on the left is the storehouse net control operator, labeled with the yellow number 7, who manages the coordination of information between the regions. Seated at his right is the storehouse satellite net control operator, labeled with the yellow number 8. Your local ERC operation is Starlink satellite communications. Seated at the far left of the table is the storehouse HF net control operator, labeled with the yellow number 9. This is another storehouse net control operator who is focused on coordinating any HF radio traffic for the exercise. On the bottom right of the slide is an HF radio operator, labeled with a yellow number 10. This represents a stake that is not reachable by VHF or UHF simplex operations because they are too far away. This slide represents a common communication path that will occur during the exercise on June 14th. These net control teams are the key to coordinating information between radio nets. As you can see, it is the responsibility of the net control teams to move information between different radio nets. This communication method organizes and simplifies communication so that individual radio operators aren't switching between many different frequencies and radio nets to try to find matching needs and resources. By following this systematic approach to coordinating between radio nets, emergency communications are faster, more efficient, and far less chaotic than having hundreds of radio operators constantly switching frequency. This approach also permits communication between different communication services such as GMRS and amateur radio, and VHF, HF, and satellite. Let's go to slide number 9. As discussed last week, having two radio operators in close proximity on the same band, like 2 meters, will be a problem because when one operator transmits, the other frequency on the same band will be impacted. With FM communications, the capture effect will cause the receiver of the second radio to only hear the loudest signal, which will most likely be the other net control operator on the net control team. It is best to try and have the two nets on different bands. This is not always possible, but if it is possible, it is better to not try to participate in two nets on the same band. When you must participate in two nets on the same band, having a liaison operator located at a different location will allow a greater distance to be placed between two operators so that signals don't interfere with each other. Let's go to slide number 10. If you can, it works best to have two operators in close proximity, such as 2 members of a net control team, to operate on 2 different bands. This may take some coordination. If the two nets are on the same band, if the two nets are on the same band. Another useful tool that all emergency communicators should have in their go kits are a set or 2 of headphones. Headphones are very helpful so that the audio from one radio does not interfere with the audio of another radio. Have you ever tried listening to 2 radios at the same time? It's not easy or recommended. What if you have a scribe that needs to hear your radio? How do you both listen to the same radio and have each other use a headphone? Let's go to slide number 11. One way that two people can listen to the same radio using headphones is to use an inexpensive headphone amplifier. This allows two or more people to listen to the same radio and be able to control, and they be able to each control the audio level so that each person can control the sound level to match their personal preference. There are many manufacturers of similar devices that range from $15 to $25 depending on the brand and the features. One device that is sold by different vendors is labeled Microamp HA400. These are sold under different brands for different prices, but are clearly the same device by the same manufacturer. They have one audio input and four audio and four outputs, each with a separate volume control. They operate on 12 volts DC, so they can run off the same power as your radio. The key is to turn your radio volume down low and slowly turn it up so that you don't overload the amplifier. These are designed for line level audio input, but they have been used for radio communication connected directly to the audio output of the radio. Use this at your own discretion and make sure to keep the radio volume level very low. Again, you can find these for around $15 from sources like Amazon. This is KM7G for training tonight. Let's go to slide 12. For the June 14th exercise, you'll need something that you don't typically use in ERC exercises. To participate in the Spring ERC Exercise, all emergency operators will need to use either a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer with internet access during the exercise. All you need on your device is a web browser. You don't need to install an app. We call it an app, but it's really just a web page that is designed to work equally well on a phone, tablet, or desktop computer. Again, you don't need to install anything on your phone or your computer. You just use a web browser just like you use to surf the web. To participate in the exercise, all emergency communicators will participate by accessing the ERC Exercise website, which I will explain in a moment. If you are a net control team member, then you don't request needs or resources during the exercise. The reason is that your role as a net control team member is to manage the communications on your assigned radio net. Again, if you are a net control team member, you don't request needs or resources during the exercise. The reason is that your role as a net control team member is to manage the communications on your assigned radio net. Let's go to slide 13. Operators must register before they can participate in the exercise. After registering, operators will have access to the exercise application on the website. After the exercise begins, a list of needs and resources will be displayed on the application. Operators will need to know and track these needs and resources during the exercise. To register, click on the link below and create a new exercise account by entering the following: your name, email address, and it's not below on this case, it's off to the right on the screen, a PIN code which acts like a password along with your email address to log in the day of the exercise, your stake, the primary radio service you'll be operating on, and a call sign. If you are a licensed amateur radio operator, you should use your amateur call sign. If you are a GMRS operator, you can use your GMRS call sign. If you are an FRS operator with no license, simply leave the call sign blank, and the system will assign you a unique identifier that we will call a call sign during the exercise. If you're a GMRS user and someone else in your family is using the GMRS call sign, then just leave the call sign field blank and the system will assign you a unique call sign. Remember that you will use your email address and the PIN code you register with to log into the exercise on the day of the exercise. All operators will need to work with their own ward and stake or with another ward if your ward is not prepared to use emergency communications as recommended in the Church Emergency Communications Guideline. Remember that the organization of the emergency communications in wards and stake is under the direction of the priesthood leaders. You should always follow their guidance. During the exercise, the region net control station The NCS will assist operators in joining another stake or ward if your ward or stake is not ready for the exercise. Just follow instructions during the exercise. Let's go to slide 14. Are you ready to go? Can you communicate from your vehicle? Although having a mobile radio permanently installed in your vehicle is recommended, have the ability to communicate from your car either a mobile or a handheld radio. We always use whatever we have available. Keep a notepad and pens in both your Go Kit and your vehicle for record keeping. Be familiar with your ward and stake boundaries and have emergency contact information for ward and stake leadership. Let's go to slide 15. In an emergency, always tune to this repeater, the 88 repeater, for emergency information. You don't need to hunt around in different frequencies. This is the place for emergency information in eastern Idaho. Make sure to program ERC net frequencies into memory channels, including alternate frequencies. The June exercise will follow this same format of starting on this frequency. The exercise will start on the 146.880 megahertz ERC repeater. GMRS, FRS communicators will be able to hear exercise instructions on channel 16 in Idaho Falls and channel 22 in Rexburg. Again, GMRS repeaters on channel 16 in Idaho Falls and channel 22 in Rexburg and other areas will carry exercise instructions, especially at the beginning of the exercise. Let's go to slide 16. To sign up for the exercise ahead of time, please instruct everyone in your wards and stake to go to the website exercise.idahoerc.org and register for the exercise. Remember to write down your PIN number or you won't be able to log in the day of the exercise. Let's go to slide 17. Now that was a lot of information. Do you have any questions or comments?
N7RGW QK.
N7RGW. Larry, go ahead.
What if we forget our PIN?
That's a good question. That's why you write it down.
Is there any way to recover it before the exercise?
NF7J, Kevin, do you have an answer for that?
Yes, I believe we have a password reset option on the login screen.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Did you hear that, Larry?
Get it doubled.
Okay, looks like there's a password reset option that you can go to there. Any other questions or comments?
KM7FQE.
Go ahead.
Before the exercise, will we be given a list of all of the different frequencies that people will be on so we know how to contact the ward, the stake, the region?
Your ward operator should know the stake frequency that they'll be talking to. Each ward will decide which frequency and what radios they'll be using, and then an operator in that ward will then use the stake frequency, and that will be decided by the stake, and then the stake can then contact the region on the region frequency, and I believe to contact the storehouse. I believe that's on the 440 repeater. Is that correct, Kevin? NF7J.
For the region coordination, but for everyone else, yeah, you follow the direction of your ward specialist or your stake specialist, and that's where those frequencies will come from.
Okay, did that answer your question?
Affirmative. That'll do that. Now all I need to know is how to get our stake people woke up and interested in the exercise.
That is a challenge in some cases, for sure. Any other questions or comments?
87 SMX.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that for FRS GMRS there will be, it sounds like 2 repeaters on channel 16 and another repeater on 22. Are those actually repeaters? I mean, an FRS radio is not able to reach a repeater, so are those actually repeaters or are they operating simplex?
The GMRS repeaters on channel 16 in Idaho Falls and channel 22 in Rexburg. Yeah, and those are repeaters. But I think even with the FRS they can listen to them. Is that right, Kevin?
That's affirmative. So even if you have an FRS radio, you still hear the output. You don't talk through them, but you'll hear the instructions at the beginning of the exercise.
Thank you. This is KG7SMX clear.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
W7QBN question. XF.
Go ahead.
The breadth of instruction provided here is impressive, but not every stake has 40 operators that can be divided into multiple wards. Some stakes only have 5 operators, and so they'll only have one guy running both frequencies, and they won't be able to break up into ward nets. And in a real emergency, some of those stakes that have 40 operators might occasionally find themselves limited to 4 or 5 operators. While it's great to practice all of these well thought out and well designed scenarios, it might sometimes be worth practicing single operator liaising between 2 nets during an exercise so that you can learn these tricks when the frustration is inconsequential and be able to pull off the same tricks with some experience when it's actually meaningful.
Yes, on the ward level, if there's only one person, then they would just communicate with the stake. And if there's just one person for the several people in the ward, that's again, like the script said, it's going to be a challenge for one person to do that. And it might be worth joining a couple of people from different wards together. That's just one idea. This is KM7G. Any other ideas there, Kevin, NF7J?
Yeah, so the reason we break up into these nets is for purpose of the exercise because we have so many operators. The concepts are directly applicable to emergencies. This particular exercise will teach operators how to communicate between different radio nets, which is a common occurrence with a major emergency. As far as for this exercise, you're going to work with those in your ward and or stake. You may only have enough people for one net. You don't have to have a ward net. If there's one person, you would just get together as a stake. If you don't have enough people as a stake, you can go with another stake. So some of that coordination will happen during the exercise and give you an opportunity. But the recommendation is that you do the pre-coordination within your own ward and stake prior to the exercise so that you don't have to do it on the morning of the exercise during the exercise. But all of these concepts are directly applicable to real emergencies. That's what this is all for. And so you're going to operate differently in a real emergency, but this is how we have to divide things up because of the number of operators that we have. But again, all of the concepts are all directly applicable. So we're not doing anything that you might not normally have to do in an emergency, but this will give you experience when the time comes, and you do whatever you have to provide the communications back to the training.
Thanks, Kevin. Any other comments or questions?
KF7BRO.
7BRO, go ahead, Holly.
Thanks, Keland. I just wanted to point out that there are some excellent resources that have been available for a number of months that instructed wards and stakes on how to set up GMRS, FRS, or even handy-talkie nets. And so this is something that has been out there for some time, and F7J has put a wonderful presentation on the ERC website, which I'm quite sure is still available there, explaining how to organize your ward into nets, not necessarily amateur radio nets, rather license-free, handy-talkie GMRS, FRS if necessary, or licensed GMRS nets. And so this is not a new concept. Wards and stakes who've been on top of it are probably already set to go with a large number of people who have been organized in these nets. And there's still some time left. Back to you, Keland. Thanks.
Thank you, Holly. This is KM7G. Any other comments or questions before we close?
KK7EQB.
EQB, go ahead.
Yeah, would there be a list on the ERC website of
of the ward coordinators that we get in touch with to get the proper frequencies that we need?
The ward coordinators, if they're called through the ward, you'd get that probably through tools if you don't already know them. And the wards just have to pick their own frequencies and hopefully can coordinate so they're not walking on top of each other.
Contact.
Go ahead.
We don't track the ward specialist currently, but we do the stake specialist. So if you log into the website and click on my profile, you'll be able to see a list of all the operators that are in your ward, a list of all of the operators in the stake, and you'll be able to look by ward. And so that'll give you a start. But yeah, again, if they've been called, then you should be able to find them in your tools app. But that'll give you a good start.
Thanks, Kevin. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you, KM7G.
Hey, any other questions? We're about ready to close here tonight.
KC7JXF.
JXF, go ahead.
Just one comment on that small headphone amplifier that you pictured in the slideshow. The brand on that one is Behringer, which is a well-known manufacturer of professional audio equipment. So if you're able to find that one with that logo, it's probably a decent piece of equipment. I'd be a little bit surprised if Behringer was brand engineering that to other brands, and so the others may be unauthorized copies with varying levels of quality. KC7JXF.
Contact.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Behringer actually isn't the manufacturer. They resell the one as was stated in the slides. So you'll find other ones with the exact same model with different brands, and they are made by the same manufacturer. The Behringer you'll pay $25 for. The other ones for the same device you can pay $15 for on Amazon. But you can take your pick. Back to training.
Thanks, Kevin. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank for those that had comments or questions. This is KM7G. We'll turn the time now back to net control. KF7BRO, Holly.